Hi, I'm Sandra.
Hi, I'm Triffany, and we're friends. Every time we get together, we have these crazy, awesome insights about manifesting, life, synchronicity.
And one day I said, it's too bad we didn't record this because somebody out there could have benefited from hearing this.
And that's how this began.
We never know what we're going to talk about, but when we do and the magic happens, we want to share it with you.
Okay, we're live. Hey, Triffany, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. What's been going on?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've just been head down in content creation for so long that, and I know, you take all of these courses and you read all these books about what it takes to start a business, and it all says, rapid prototype, what is it? FVP, the first viable product out there. And if it doesn't sell, chuck it and get on to something else. And, and I know this like conceptually, I know it logically, but it's not what I do. I have to be completely transparent. That's not what I do. I'm just like, oh, this is going to be the best book ever. This is going to be the best course ever. And I just like, I have so much fun doing it. I don't even think about whether or not it's something people want to buy and invest in, not just even time, not just even money, but time too, right? Like, does it make sense to have a 12-week telecourse? Does it make sense to have an e-course? And I never bothered to answer any of those questions. And I did in essence, because I had people join the course, but not in the volumes that I'd hoped, and not in the way that I'd hoped, and not without a lot of like, okay, course is starting. Are you coming? You said you were interested. Are you coming? Not like the hustle, right? So I've decided, because I'm, me, I'm terrible at marketing. And the moment it's time to market, I'm just like, I'll write another article. I just hide in content creation. I hide in it. I'm the worst about it. So I made a promise to myself that I'm giving myself a 30-day challenge. So for 30 days, I will not create any new content. Once I get my audio course, I have to get that loaded, but in the learning management system. But once that's loaded for 30 days, I've promised myself I am not creating any more content unless it is for the express purpose of marketing something I already have. And do you know, I actually did that. I had no idea I had so many things. Where's my list? It's insane. I have like 6 things that could be core products, 6 things that could be the lead magnets, 5 things that could be the tripwire. I've got everything I need. All I need to do is tell people, shout from the rooftops that I have this stuff. Like that's all I have to do, and I'm not doing it. So I was just like,
so this is your 30-day. So starting when? Like starting today?
Well, if I can, yeah, as soon as I get this audio course and the learning management system. I've just been head down, just like focus, get that done. So it might be today, but it will probably be tomorrow or Wednesday if I'm being perfectly honest with myself. But yes, starting this week for 30 days, that's my promise to myself. So it's one of those,
Awesome. Well, I'm going to join you in this 30-day plan, but doing it totally differently, because I'm head down more in marketing, and I don't even know if it's well, in some ways it's effective, and in some ways it's just taking up my time. Like, I will be on Google Analytics and just analyze every little page and numbers, and go back and tweak, a page on my website here and another tweak on my website there. And I could spend like every day going through Google Analytics and tweaking stuff on my website.
Oh boy.
And so I've been listening to this podcast, and the conclusion that I came from the podcast, because one of the question was, how much of your time is being spent? This is a podcast on money. Like, how much of your time is being spent, like, working, right? I think that was the point. When you hear something and all of a sudden your brain goes, whoa, yeah, light bulb moment, and then you start thinking and you lose track of what that person's saying. That's why I'm having hesitancy in terms of accurately recalling exactly what it was that gave me this aha moment.
You remember the feeling. You remember the epiphany.
Yes, I remember the epiphany. And the epiphany was, OMG, I spend so much time on this. I'll spend like weekends on this. And what am I doing? You know, why am I spending my time on these types of activities? Why not take away some of that time and spend it on just pure joy? Just joy, entertainment, just for me, nothing to do with, you know, trying to make something perfect, right? And so I'm going to join you in this 30 days.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm going to transfer this epiphany into an actionable action. So I'm going to join you in this 30 days, and I'm literally going to not look at Google Analytics at all for the next 30 days. I'm not going to look at it.
Wow.
I'm not going to look at Google Analytics for 30 days.
What are you going to do for your data fix?
I know, which means I'm not going to be sitting on, you know, and like tweaking little things on my website, and just actually focus on other projects that have just been pushed by the wayside. So I will join you on that. So I guess we should challenge our listeners or our watchers, our viewers, to find something that they can challenge themselves to do or not do for 30 days for the betterment of themselves. Like, what can you do for just 30 days that you know is going to change your life? It's going to make a difference in your life, at least.
Yeah. And in addition to if people are willing to accept that challenge, I would ask that it be something that has traditionally made them slightly uncomfortable, but they know is the direction they need to go, right? Because there's these two sensations that I think people really confuse, and that is, you know, the fight or flight. I've got to leave. Something's dangerous. It makes me uncomfortable. I've got to get out of it. And then there's a very similar feeling that if you're not in touch with your thoughts, habits, your body, your beliefs, if you're not in touch with the sort of the inner workings, I call it your inner life, if you're not in touch there, this feeling feels exactly the same. And that is when you're up against a ceiling, right? And you know it's about to break, and you just keep hitting your head, and you know that everything you want is up here, but you don't know how much work it's going to take, how much responsibility it's going to give you. If people are going to start looking at you differently, it's going to change your social paradigm. So what people will do is they'll nudge, it'll be about to break, and they'll go, you know what, that's uncomfortable. And then they'll come right back down here into their comfort zone. And this feeling of being uncomfortable is very similar to the red flag feeling if you're not in tune with your inner life. But when I ask my clients and people who are involved in this work, do you know the difference? And they get really raw and honest with themselves. They do know the difference.
Well, I mean, we recognize the difference, right? I mean, the commonality, which is why I'm joining you in this 30-day challenge thing, the commonality between the two of us is we're allowing something to distract us from what we really need to be doing, right? I mean, you're letting content creation draw you in because there's something that you enjoy about it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. You enjoy doing it, so it draws you in, but it also distracts you from doing what it is that you should be doing, which is working on your marketing. You know, for me, the whole Google Analytics thing, it draws me in. There's something about it's kind of interesting. You know, it appeals to my left brain, even though I'm in a right brain kind of field all the time. You know, that kind of like analyzing numbers just draws me in. It gives me something concrete that I can actually work with and feel like I can have an effect on, whereas there's other things that I really should be doing that I'm neglecting because I'm spending so much time on this. So really it's about, you know, all right, yes, you're focused on doing this. You have your logical reasons for why you should be doing it. You have valid reasons for why you should be working on that. And it's keeping you from doing something else that you should be doing. And that's what the 30 days is about. Just right? 30 days, not forever.
Yeah, so the key point is if you feel like you have to constantly justify the thing you're doing instead, chances are good it's time to flip it. Because I can justify content creation all day long. Well, if I write another article, that's another way I'm out there. It's passive marketing. It's like I can and I'm sure you can justify the analytics all day long.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
So if you're really digging in, you at home, if you're really digging in to your excuses, do the other thing. Do the other thing for just 30 days. And, in all honesty, I feel like, so for some people, 30 days feels like it's onerous. Like that's just way too big of a commitment. Do it for 10 days. Do it for 5. Take a step, any step in the direction you want to take and commit to it and create a new habit, because once that habit's created, everything else, the thoughts, the beliefs, everything else starts to fall in line. So, I'm glad you're joining me. Yay.
And you know what? It's also a way of trusting the universe.
Good point.
Because it's underlying all of that is a control issue. It's a feeling like if I do A, B will happen. That's the true justification that we use. If I write an article, that's putting myself out there. If I crunch these numbers, then my website functions better, right? It's a underlying illusion that we have control. And so to give up this illusion, now you allow the potential for a higher power to step in and provide you with what you've been wanting all along.
That is a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. Like really in saying, if I do this, then that will happen. That's how we get caught up in the cursed hows, right? Like, so if I've been told that I should market, then just shut up and do it. Go do it. Stop fighting the reality that you've been told to go market and let everything else take care of it. Because I know for me personally, marketing is not the issue. It's not. That's not what it, there's something in my thoughts or something in my habits. There's something inside of me that needs to be healed. And for some reason, marketing is going to be the thing that brings it to the surface, because if it has to be healed, it must first be revealed, right? And so this is going to be the thing that brings it to the surface. Oh, in fact, you know what? This is really super interesting. Do you remember when I was working on my book and I had all this huge head of steam, and it just like midway through just died off. I suddenly couldn't find the money to finish it. I suddenly couldn't find the time to finish it. I couldn't focus on it when I worked on it. Crazy. Well, I had this whole resurgence in the last month or so, thank God, because now everything's moving forward again. And then this last review before I sent it to the layout designer, I fell in love with my book again. Like I was reading it and I was just like, this is really good. Oh my God, people do this. It's going to change your life. This is amazing. I got like so fired up and so excited. It made me wonder, Sandra, if I had some latent subconscious underlying thing that didn't believe in my own work. If there was something in me that was slowing it down because I didn't believe it was good enough, or I didn't believe it was what I thought it was, life-changing and all of that. And it wasn't until I started listening to my thoughts while I was doing that final review of the proof edit that I was like, did I really after all that work and after teaching this course for how many years, did I really doubt it? And somewhere in me, I did. I had to have, or else I wouldn't have been so surprised that I love it so much. Isn't that crazy? So
Yeah.
We have these quiet underlying things that pick away at our confidence, at our vision, at the whole 9 yards, that if we don't do that thing that we're hitting if we don't do that, we're not going to see it.
Well, see, that's why I like the 30 days, and I think, to the viewers, if you're tempted to shorten it and be like, I can't do 30 days, I got to do like more like 10, you got to kind of look at, why are you staying in your comfort zone by doing just 10 days? Why not take the whole 30 days and push yourself to let go and see what takes over, see what happens in that space. You're not going to know what's possible if you don't give it space to happen.
That's a really good point. And I love the language you're using. See what happens. Give it the space, because what that does is it turns it from something that, I've got to buckle down and do it for 30 days. It turns it into, if I try this, what if? what might happen? What might come up? What could change? And it brings this level of curiosity and playfulness to the mix, because I know everybody's busy, everybody's buried. Nobody wants to take on one more change or one more thing they've got to willpower themselves through. But there's no willpower involved when you take this attitude Sandra's talking about, which is just get curious. Give yourself the time and the space, and then just play with it. Get curious. Commit to it, sure. But then do something, watch yourself. Do something, watch the results. Do something, see how you feel. Remember how we talked a couple weeks ago, check the body. How does it feel in the body?
Yeah, I say let's do it, you know?
Okay.
Get that content done by today so we can start day one tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
And, you know, and I'm thinking, you know, I will write, you know, my goal on my calendar as my day one. This is the goal, making space, you know, not looking at Google Analytics. And we'll see what happens with all that time that I used to spend, you know, tweaking my website ridiculously. Now that I'm talking about it out loud in the public. And then what I'm going to do to stay on track is every day on my calendar, I'm just going to put, you know, 2 for day 2. And then on day 3, I put a day 3. And that way I can actually see the days, you know, that I am sticking with this. And then I think on day 30 would be a great day to, you know, kind of look back and go, what's new and different?
So what is day 30? It might be 31. We'll say
yeah, it's going to be like what, April 6th or 7th?
We'll say April 6th, and that is a Thursday. So let's commit to April 10th. That's that following Monday, and we'll talk exactly about what's different. I'm gonna write that in our little notes so that we remember to revisit this and talk exactly about what has changed in these 30 days. And the really cool thing about having that level of accountability is it'll make me pay attention to what's changing too, because here's something else that happens when people embark on change. Change happens in these tiny little steps, these tiny little gradients. You may not notice anything the first day or the second or the third, but by day 5, you realize it's a little more fun than you thought. Or you realize that now that you're experiencing more joy, you have more energy to do the things that you feel like you need to do, right? Like, you know, for you. And if you're not paying attention to those small wins, by the end of those 30 days, it may not look like much has changed, because to you, it's like when you come across a friend that you haven't seen in ages and they go, so what's new? And you know that a shit ton has happened, but you weren't keeping track.
Well, you know what I think is going to be, no matter how much or how little changes, I think the biggest benefit to doing this is seeing that the world will not collapse because you're not doing whatever it is that you've given up doing for 30 days. You know, I mean, because I'm checking in with my body and I'm feeling that sense of fear creeping up, like, wait a minute, if I'm not checking Google Analytics, something could go horribly wrong and I won't know.
How will I know my page is broken if I'm not on there?
So imagine facing whatever fears come up about not doing this distracting behavior, you know, and so part of me is excited because I really want to face, like, what am I afraid is going to happen if I don't check my Google Analytics? What am I really afraid of that I've been not allowing myself to face by doing this, right? So what are you afraid of is going to happen if you don't create more content?
That's a really good question.
So to be able to, you know, face it, to allow it to come up and then face it and see the world doesn't stop spinning because you don't do this distracting behavior, I think it's going to be so empowering for the people who actually take on the challenge and do it, and really, really diligently just do it. Just be like, yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's, you know, anxiety provoking. It may even feel terrifying, but you're facing it. And guess what? The world didn't stop spinning and you didn't die.
Right. You're still alive to tell the tale. And how
Yeah.
else do we build courage? How else do we build that kind of bravery? The only way that we're ever, it's not something that's just imbued upon us. The only way we ever build it is by doing stuff like this, by taking on that little challenge, by facing your fear and changing your habits. And yeah. So what do you think? So you asked the question, and I am curious, what do you think what are you afraid of by not?
I don't know. I mean,
don't know
that's the whole thing with, with adaptive behaviors, really, it's kind of what it's called, and in its most extreme form, it's OCD. As long as you perform this behavior, you never have to face what you're really afraid of. So you really have no idea until you stop performing that behavior and you let that fear come up, and you don't do anything to make that fear or anxiety or whatever name you want to call that discomfort go away. You don't make it go away by falling back on that behavior. You let it come up, and you let it come up until it's crystal clear what it is that's really happening. So until you go through this, so we'll find out in 30 days, everybody who participates in the challenge will find out in 30 days.
That's right. That's right.
What were you really trying to stave off?
Yeah. I had two answers immediately pop to mind. It'll be interesting to see if that's still what it is at the end of the 30 days.
Cool. All right, I guess we got our challenge for everybody.
Okay, there we go.
Well, it was good talking to you.
You too, honey. Thank you so much. I'll see you next Monday. Or actually, we have lunch scheduled. We'll check the calendar, but I'll see you soon.
Yeah. All right, sounds good.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.